wins, 0 wins. Get through it. We have some fun, don't we? Have some fun. And you cannot tell me, I will not allow it. You cannot tell me that the season wasn't awesome because nobody, if you say yes, I will call your bluff to your face and you will be labeled a liar for life. But nobody thought that it would take until game 79 to be mathematically eliminated from the play-in, right? And even so, it wasn't like you were mathematically eliminated because it was like, oh, yeah, every other team is just sucking too. No, you were playing well. You were playing well, and most of it was the young guys, which made the season pretty darn awesome because you got to watch some of those young guys grow and improve. Of course, there was headaches early on. I mean, people didn't like the fact that the vets were playing a ton of minutes, but it was what it was. It all worked out in the end. Now it becomes very, very interesting. Very, very interesting because now Joe Cronin, the newly extended Joe Cronin, has some options and some things he needs to do in the offseason when it comes to trading guys and moving guys around and opening doors for players, what have you, right? So that part's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. Also, you got to worry about, again, not worry, but you got to watch and be on the lookout for, the young guys progressing. How much better does Donovan Clingan get with an actual NBA offseason? How much better does Tu get when he's obviously shown that he can progress and move forward and work on things? You have Shaedon Sharpe, who talked about it in the exit interview about how he wants to get better offensively as well and be more aggressive. And you have Denny, who said he wants to be better on both sides of the ball, which can be a scary thing. So everyone knows where their shortcomings are and are ready to go to work, which is good. And it's kind of like Scoot Henderson said in the post-game press conference. Hungry dogs got to eat, right? They're all hungry, right? And so we'll see how that does moving forward. I guarantee you that the roster will not be the same on opening day as it is right now. There's going to be, whether it be draft picks, you're going to have one there. Whether it be trades, I mean, guys who just leave, like you're gonna see how it looks, but it's going to be some moving and shaking. I think that this team needs to be. I've always talked about this offseason being important as it pertains to moving forward. I think the result that they had this year actually puts more pressure in a good way on Joe Cronin to perform because this team went from possibly, okay, we still got to grow, to, okay, realistically, the right piece brought in, this team becomes a play-in team easy, right? And there's some pressure there, maybe even more than that. I mean, you can't, can this team, you put together the right pieces, be better than, Sacramento, who is just treading water for some reason, right? Dallas, who was built for a very short window, but you get what I'm saying. I'm not saying that they're going to be better. There's the potential there, though. It all depends on how the offseason is handled. I was asked by somebody yesterday, a friend of mine in a group chat, who said, hey, if the Blazers had like the number 9 overall pick is where they ended, would you trade that for Jabari Smith Jr. there in Houston? I'm like, I'd be intrigued. I would definitely consider it. There's a guy who come in, play forward for you, get the ball rolling, and maybe just like Denny just needs a change of scenery to, unlock it a little bit. Because Denny, I don't think anybody thought was going to be this good, right? Nobody thought, oh, what kind of trade is that? We were supposed to get assets when we traded Malcolm Brogdon, not give away first-round picks to get this guy I haven't heard of. Well, the people who had heard of him told you that was a steal of a deal for Portland. I've told you guys that many a times. There was a reporter there at the practice facility on draft night who said, this is a really good deal. Denny, I think the word for word said, Denny is really, really good. He's not being used properly in Washington. And this was a guy who has covered a lot of Denny games. One of the few, as you heard many times during the interviews all year long, one of the few Israeli reporters who are in town now because they just covered Denny. He's the most popular Israeli basketball player ever. So they told you it was a steal of a deal, and that tree bore fruit pretty quickly. He ended up being the best player this year. Nobody saw that coming, right? And Chauncey Billups said in the pregame press conference yesterday about how, look at some of the players. And yes, he did throw guys like Jokic and Giannis and Shea out there, right? Pretty elite talent. But was talking about how those guys were developed within their organizations. Yes, Oklahoma City traded for a young SGA after year one, but then they developed him, right? Giannis developed in-house. Jokic developed in-house. And hopefully they can continue to develop because the guys they have in-house right now showed a lot of promising signs this season. I am excited. Now, I'm going to ask about those guys and their promising signs and what they would do if you were a teacher and you were grading them with my next guest who has sat there so patiently. That's his punishment for never asking me to record another episode of the Trailcasters podcast, which he and I used to co-host, but haven't recorded an episode since December of 2023. I'm not sour about that at all, but I figured I would bring that up. But my guest now of Trailcasters fame, Keith Feltner Smith, not to be confused with Keith Smith, who also knows hoops and jumps on the airwaves here for Rip City Radio now and then. But Keith, welcome in.
2023?
Yes, I know the date.
God,
I know the date.
That is, ooh.
And you wonder why
gross.
I harp at you.
That is rough. Yeah.
I got so tired of waiting, I started my own podcast.
It's great, by the way. I love 1977.
It's like there's this guy I used to love. Well, I still like him because he does great videos. But I was like, I'm going to do this podcast. I'm going to try to get it out every week, right? And there was this guy I watched on YouTube, Bro Science Life, Dom Mazzetti. Wonderful, wonderful content. Who, when he first started his YouTube, it was like new videos every week. And he would do them every week. And then he got big and he got busy, right? And so he started doing new videos every weak spot in the table. If you jump on it right there. And he's like new videos every month when the rent is due. And like, he would just that's how I feel right now. Because sometimes I can't get them out every week, but I try.
Hey, that's Trailcasters too. We're just on a very slow week. It's been a very long, year and a half week.
I mean, I know that you got SoCal surfer vibes, man, and I'm an Islander, but we are stretching island time to the absolute extent of which it can be stretched. I'm over here watching this guy jump on other podcasts as a guest, and I can't get him to record his own.
Hey, being a guest is easy, man. It's so much different than the art process of having to go through and edit and make all the content.
Problem. Oh my
it's
gosh.
art. You can't just turn this stuff out there. I can't just be the every week guy until I have that beautiful masterpiece, and, that takes time.
He's over here. He's the Bob Ross of podcasting, man. All right, we're gonna put in this nice little sound effect right here.
A few more trees.
Yeah, a couple more zinger sounds and a couple more horns.
Guys have some penny drops.
And then we have a beautiful podcast. But he's joining me right now on Courtside Monday, and brought him in. He was supposed to join last week so I could have this episode to myself for a full-on. I like to kind of end the year. This is year 2 of me having Courtside. So last year I ended it just kind of a breakdown, played some audio, but kind of broke down the year. But you were sick last week, so at least you're good enough to get off the couch or roll out of bed and drive in.
You didn't even want me on the phone last week. I was gross sick. It was very, very bad, and I'm very glad to be feeling better.
To be fair, you're like Damian Lillard when we always said coaches had to pull him out of the lineup because he'd play no matter what. You're like, I don't know if I can come in, but I could probably do a phone call if you wanted.
I could try to get up.
I had to pull the plug on you and say no.
And as soon as you did, I was like, thank you.
All right, let's start off with the hot topic. I told you I wasn't going to ask you about it, but I'm going to ask you about it because I know that you're opinioted. Not as opinionated as the opinionated winos out there, but you're opinionated. Okay? You went through the full gamut of emotions yesterday.
Oh yes.
Because of the news that broke early in the day. I got to Moda Center nice and early. It's the last game of the year, and there was the Bridge to Bruise marathon run going on, so roads were closed. Got to get there early, and I'm like, I'm going to sit down. I'm like, I might watch a little bit of YouTube for a second, maybe relax, maybe read some books because I show me your books.
Good channel.
Discord chat there. I'm like, you know what? My New Year's resolution, I want to read more. I don't read enough, and I finally opened a book for the first time in a decade, and I'm hooked, and it's amazing.
Nice.
Thank you to the Reacher TV series.
Find the book that fits you. Yeah, there you go.
Make me want to read the book. Right? It's like maybe I'll read some pages of the book. I'll get lost in literature. Instead, I got lost in breaking news because the Blazers announced that they had signed head coach Chauncey Billups to a contract extension, which was a very polarizing move, which I will say I completely understand. I understand the move. I like the move for different reasons, right? And I can understand for people who don't like it, but I want to get your take on it since I got you in here. What do you think? What was your roller coaster of emotions?
Okay, taking a deep breath so I kind of can pace myself here. No, it was a roller coaster, and like you said, polarizing really is the right word for it, man. It's just been such a big question for the team for a while. We've seen a team that, like you've also mentioned, the focus has been the development. It's been great seeing these guys grow as they've been coming along. I love everything we've been seeing from Shaden and Two and Denny recently, what we've seen from Scoot before that, we've been seeing from Klingon recently. And I think the question for a lot of fans has just been that development arc and the pace of it. If we want to really tweak up the pace, I think something that many of us lean towards being a logical conclusion would be finding a coach that fit more. This coach hadn't come in for this development process, so maybe he wasn't the right one. But the thing about a question, when it's been hanging in the air for so long and when the team had so many things left unanswered for fans, it was an easy thing to turn to. And now that question is off the board. The contract has been extended, and I do not want to. Me as a fan, I enjoy being happy. I enjoy going to games with friends. I enjoy the community, and I enjoy having a good time, win or lose on it. I do not want to spend the next number of years during his extension being that mad about it. So it's been signed. It's off the table. We're rolling forward. This is our team. We ball, right? That's how you roll.
We ball. That is for sure. We got to do that. But yeah, that was the news, and it was extremely, like I said, it was polarizing. People either liked it or they hated it. And, obviously that was kind of the topic of conversation because yesterday was exit interviews, right? Got a chance to talk to the players. And I want to play this for you. I don't know if you had a chance to hear it, but this is what DeAndre Ayton had to say when asked about Coach Billups.
It's not like I'm having another coach that I'm not used to. We have Chauncey Billups, who's a very, a communicative coach. He never really leads you blindsided. He always lets you know straight ahead, or he just hits it around the head of the nail. Just tell you straight up how it is and how it's gonna go. That's just it.
On that subject, I can't really think of a situation where like a coach would get like a contract extension, multi-year commitment from the team, and he's still getting booed during introductions. Like, what do you think fans who are booing Chauncey? Like,
fans want to win, so that's just fans. Fans are emotional. I mean, we all know that. It's the NBA. Fans say whatever. They still love us. They still come to the games. They boo as much as they want. They still out there. So, it's belief at the end of the day.
What do you think they're missing about Chauncey?
You sure they booing Chauncey? Sometimes I think they booing is just us not winning.
I didn't have a chance to pull him, but yeah.
You gotta pull up some clips. You can't be booing Chauncey. Chauncey just turned this thing around for me. Being one of the top guys who's really a player's coach. So it's hard to boo a guy like that. We got his back, so.
And I think that's important, okay? First off, the reporter who asked that, grapefruits, cojones, to ask that question, right? But I like the answer, Keith, because I think this is something that gets lost a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And I mentioned it with Chad earlier, and we could talk about the X's and O's that people don't like, but I also say if you're going to knock him for the X's and O's, you got to pay. I think you got to give a little bit of credit that he has obviously shown progression on that side. He said that he wants to be better on the offensive side of the ball. He admitted that yesterday in the post-game presser.
And that was big.
Yeah, we got to work on the offense. I need to be just a little more creative and create some more sets. Like, he knows.
That went a long way.
And I do think that's big for a coach to admit that those are the things he wants to work on. And just like the players, he wants to work on them. But what's bigger than me than anything is, what Ayton said right there at the start. We're rolling with Chauncey. It's not like I have to learn a whole new system and go with a no coach. And that part gets a little frustrating for a lot of these players. And secondarily, he said, Chauncey's straight with us. Like, he doesn't sugarcoat it. He just tells us how it is, goes straight and hits the nail on the head. And I said, you look at the situation that happened with Shaden Sharp, right? And I want to go look at the situation that happened in Denver. Now, in a vacuum, I will fully admit, in a vacuum, I like Michael Malone and I like Taylor Jenkins better than Chauncey Billups. But outside of that vacuum, there's a whole bunch of different things that matter. And one of those things is the team having hearing his voice, and then him and the GM being in lockstep, right? GM and coach were not on the same page in Denver. That led to headbutting. That led to both of them getting canned.
Became a bigger problem,
when Mike Malone, even though he won a championship, called out his players in post-game press conference for not watching film and not caring, it didn't sit well with a veteran-laden locker room. They didn't like it. Meanwhile, in Portland, what does Chauncey do to Shaden Sharp? Pulls him out of the starting lineup, challenges him publicly that he needs to be better. DeAndre Ayton sat there and was just complimentary of him, despite the fact that he was a target of Chauncey many times for lack of spirit. Was it the Utah game, I believe it was, where he pulled him out?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But they listened. Shaden Sharp, what did Shaden Sharp do when he was challenged by Chauncey? He responded, and I think that's big. All right, now I know you want to get in on that, but we got to take a break. We're going to take a break. And then I'm going to get your take on what I just said. We'll continue to talk about this roster, too, because, again, there's plenty to talk about. We got to grade some of these guys. A couple of them probably get extra credit as well. But we're going to continue to talk Chauncey because that's the hot topic, man. Like I said, I understand it. I'm just giving you my reasons why. Chris Burkhardt here, joined by my man Keith Feltner Smith. This is Trailblazers Courtside on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. Welcome back into Trailblazers Courtside Monday. I almost said game day. See, it's going to take a second. It's going to take a minute. I don't care. It's okay. I was the rejoin. Okay? I was. See? It's like riding a bike. Every once in a while, you hit a bump and you fall off. That's how the saying goes, right?
Sounds about right.
Sounds about right. Sounds about right. Yeah. Welcome back in to Courtside Monday with Chris Burkhardt. If you want to join the conversation, 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. Now back to Courtside Monday. There you go. I just did it for you, Brendan. That was pretty good.
Old school.
That was pretty good. In a world where both of our cars were totally underwater. Like, remember? Oh my gosh. Speaking of that, before we get back on this, I was trying to, my daughter, bless her heart, she's 9 years old, right? She will be 10 in August. So she is really pushing the boundaries of wanting to be a big kid, right? I mean, she is a big kid, but I mean that next step. So she was asking about movies. Like she's phasing out the animateds. Like what
she's getting big.
what PG-13 movies can we watch, Dad? Can I watch a PG-13 movie? I'm like, well, it depends. Like, we can. Could I watch Titanic? I'm like, we could, because she likes the Titanic. I'm like, we could probably let you watch that. We watched.
It is an amazing movie.
I know you love it. We but I convinced her. We watched, as a family. We were right there. If you're scared, we won't. But we watched Jurassic Park. I thought it was a good
There you
entry
go.
level.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
She liked it a lot. She's like, that was really good. I liked that movie. But the funny part is when I was trying to show her, young teen movies she could watch. Went on YouTube and I was typing in like trailers. Oh boy, howdy. We have come a long way in the trailer game. Some of those trailers for those movies that were, came out when we were my daughter's age, like I said, Jurassic Park's 1993?
In a world.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's just like, it is just like random scene, director's name, corny music, voiceover. It's just like,
Or even the opposite, where they tell the entire story of the movie in a 5-minute trailer. Like
I did this. I watched one trailer. I'm like, you just gave away like a bunch of the like plot twists were in the wow. We have come a long way in I kind of like the sometimes they get mad like, oh, Marvel put this character in the trailer but he wasn't in the movie. I'm like, well, good, they didn't give away the farm.
Show some behind the scenes a little bit, yeah.
Right?
The business of making trailers has come further than the business of making movies.
Yeah,
I think, these days.
and it's only got about 5 more years till ChatGPT's making them. So
all AI.
There we go. All right. Now, you aren't going to have an AI basketball coach. I'll tell you that. Otherwise, you wouldn't assign a head coach to an extension, right? You want him to be around. You want him to be coaching your guys. And that's where we left off right before we went to break, Keith. And that was, my rant on Chauncey. So I do want to get, like I said, the important things to me were obviously you had DA there talking about, he's our guy. We like him. It's nice to not have to change. You get to be with the same format, the same guy. And I talked about the importance of him calling out his players. And obviously he had their ear because Shaedon Sharp responded. He got better defensively throughout the year. Still not great, but he definitely got better, earned that spot back.
Absolutely.
Obviously, DA has all the reason, more so than probably any other man on that roster right now, to dislike Chauncey and call him out. Because Chauncey called him out a lot.
Oh, yeah.
But he was respectful of Chauncey there, too, and said Chauncey's his guy, and I believe that as well. So I want to get your take on Chauncey Billups a little bit.
I want to say, too, I love DA's energy. I love how quickly he seems fully invested and believes every word he says, even it seems so different than what we may have heard before.
DA, Rob, and Matisse Thybulle are the trifecta of I don't care about how they perform. Like, again, in a vacuum, I would just want them on my team
for the interviews.
For eternity because they are vibes guys.
Yes, complete vibes guys, and I want to hear them talk about the game. As far as Chauncey, though, and like what he's been saying, like I mentioned earlier when in the first segment when you asked me about this, I think the criticism for Chauncey with a lot of fans that share my perspective has been that idea of we want that X's and O's guys. If you think of what is a good college coach, you don't think of just a vibes guy or a guy who the players like. You think of a guy who runs the floor, who has a whole book of plays here. And so maybe those fans of us on the outside kind of view that as that's what we need for these young guys coming along and developing. But like you said, it matters having the player's ear in a way that is effective. I cannot imagine going into a postseason as Memphis or as a Denver player. You're going into a postseason with it was 3 games left, and you get rid of not just the coach but the GM in one case. That is so much upset, and what a just shake up of the rhythm as you. There's no way you're going to feel good going into that.
Yeah, you that one's wild.
So that's valuable with Chauncey is having the players' ears like that.
Yep.
And for him to say that he wants to grow past that, if the criticism is that other side, the playbook, what have you, and he is aware of that, that's a lot more than you usually get from a coach or from a person in his position where is maybe a little more guarded about what they're not great at, and that feels good to hear.
Like I
So
said, there was a couple things, Keith, about Chauncey yesterday that I appreciated because it's so easy to hear the canned answer or deflecting a little bit.
Yes,
And
exactly.
when he admitted that, looking back, when I took this job, I wasn't ready to be a head coach. And he admitted that. And now, so admitted that I wasn't ready. I had to learn just like everybody else. He admits that. And then he goes in and says, I underestimated how hard it is to build a culture. Right.
right.
That's another one that I like because, again, admitting that these are things that I'm struggling with and I didn't realize we're going to be that tough and I'm learning. And then again, admitting full well, yep, I want this to be better, this to be better, this to be better. I like that because I've seen a lot of coaches not even want to admit that.
Goes a
I
long
like
way.
Chauncey. We'll see where it goes. The biggest thing for me now with Chauncey, like it, don't like it, whatever. My job, and this is where we debated the other day, where people are like, "Oh, you're a company guy." I'm not. Blazers don't sign my checks. I can assure you of that, right? But even if I were, my job that I put myself in is I like to think why did this move happen? So I imagine I'm Joe Cronin or I'm Jody Allen and like why does this move make sense to me? And try to put the puzzle pieces together that way and then come out to my conclusion that again, these are the reasons I'm telling you that if I'm in that position, it makes sense to me. Now again, in the vacuum, do I like Taylor Jenkins? Give me any of the coach. I think Taylor Jenkins is pretty dang good. Look what he did with a young Memphis team, right?
With a young
But
squad,
there's always
appealing.
other things at play. And the biggest thing also to me is just a GM and coach who are going in the same direction at the same time. Because we already saw that here with Neil and Terry. When they started to diverge a little bit,
You knew it.
you had butting of the heads, and then you had a no GM and no coach. You know what I'm saying? So those things matter. I also think that it's you start to see Joe piece together the type of players and roster that coach wants. Tumani, Denny, even a Jabari right now, Sharp. These are all guys who can play multiple positions, guard multiple positions. Like even Scoot Henderson. One thing I love about him that goes under the radar is the fact that he'll get switched on a much bigger guy and not give up a ton of ground because he's such a strong guy.
Stays right in their pocket.
Right.
Stays right there.
Pretty good defensively and ability to guard and move around. So those are things that matter when Chauncey continues to build. And again, hopefully he gets better this offseason. I would fully expect, Keith, there to be a shakeup on the assistant roster side.
There you go.
Assistant coach side. Okay, we locked you back in. You know what? You don't have Nate breathing down your neck or whatever. I'm not saying he was. I'm just saying, just go get your guys, right? Like even this first year, I'm going to bring my brother in because it's a guy I'm comfortable with. Get outside your comfort zone. Bring in guys that you know. Okay, this coach is an offensive-minded coach. I'm going to bring him in. I'm just going to hand him the keys. Hey, this is what I want it to look like. Take it, make it better.
Find
right?
guys you can learn from. Find guys that you can come in
We'll see.
yeah.
We'll see how that goes. Now, the next biggest step is going to be roster construction, okay? I asked you about this. I was going to ask you about player grades. We might run out of time, but I want to play this for you real quick because you were talking about we were talking about trades, right? I think you got like the four most likely names would be Ant, Grant, Rob Will, and DA, right? The rest of the roster, there might be some movement, but obviously your core of a Scoot, Shea, Denny, and two with a little bit of Donovan Clingan sprinkled in, probably untouchable right now.
Those four pieces, though, have value.
They have
can
they have
move around the
value.
league.
They're likely to move. I personally think that DA is probably the starting center at the start of next season. I love Donovan Clingan.
And he's looked good down the stretch
But
here.
DeAndre Ayton is still a better center right now,
Yes,
right?
definitely.
And that allows, hey, we're still going to give you 25 minutes a night because you're our number two center. No one's pushing you or whatever. But we're going to develop that offensive side, put you in when we need defense. Like you're still going to develop him just fine.
Easier to learn when the pressure's not on to play
Right.
all the minutes.
But what about the other guys, right? Is Ant out? Is Grant out? Now, I caught you during the commercial break, and you're like, I don't know, Grant seems like the guy who might be able to fit in. And the crazy part about that is that's what I thought all year long. I'm like, you know what? If you can convince Grant that, hey, you're a small forward or we're going to push you off the bench, like there's
Coming off the bench.
versatility with him. Obviously, Chauncey really liked him defensively. There was some things there. I would have thought the same thing. And then I heard his post game exit interview, and I want you to take a listen to this because this sounds like a guy that is definitely talking to his agent about what his future holds. If it's in Portland, and very well might be, but it definitely sounds like a guy who is looking at all his options. So let's take a listen to Jeremy Grant real quick.
Exactly go maybe the way you wanted to, and then you got hurt at the end of the season. But how would you evaluate it?
Personally, definitely a down season. It's been better figuring things out, but the team came together and did what we were supposed to, won a lot more games. So looking forward to figuring it out.
Can you pinpoint why you struggled for part of the season?
Just different team, different offense. So just figuring it out, didn't make the proper adjustments.
You weren't very comfortable for a while.
I wasn't.
You weren't very comfortable for a while. Is that?
Yeah, I would say so.
What did you see as your contribution off the court to the bunch of young guys from your experience in the league?
Yeah, just trying to coach them up, do whatever I could to get them in the right positions, make sure they were comfortable, and they definitely grew a lot this year. So,
Jeremy, where do you see your role on this team moving forward, given kind of everything is in a little bit of a period of transition now with some of these young guys emerging, especially at the forward spots with Denny and Tumani?
Yeah, I think that's something me and Joe, agent's going to talk about. Don't really know, but open to whatever it is.
Jeremy, your thoughts on Chauncey getting extended and just kind of the role he's played in your career the last 4 years?
Definitely happy for him. He deserves it. Obviously, us coming into this season, not really projected to do the things that we did, and him gathering, rallying this team, and had a chance to fight for the play-in is huge. So he definitely deserves it.
Do you think this team is now on the cusp of being a playoff team?
Definitely. I think it's a lot more steps that we got to take. Obviously, we got hot throughout the season in certain periods, but there's a lot more we have to do before we can say we're a playoff team. But I do think we have talent that can move forward in that position. So.
Jeremy, you're the elder statesman now, and as you kind of look around, a lot of guys your age are kind of looking at things that make sense for you for last couple of years. Are you happy being here?
I think it was a lot more difficult when we weren't winning. So looking at where we are now, starting to win or trying to, I like the direction we're headed. So definitely open to whatever it might be. So there's just conversations we're going to have in the offseason.
So there you go, Keith.
Yikes.
And I want to point out, when he's asked point blank, are you happy here? I mean, just
it was. I think it was.
and a pause to a yes or no question.
It's not
right?
a confident answer.
And then early on, like he asked about, the versatility of two and Denny and how you fit in. Like, yeah, they're pretty good.
They're pretty good.
Like right, like that. Didn't that sound weird? Like the question was about how, and then he didn't talk about himself. And then right there, like, it was obviously better when we're winning. And it's funny because no one else was really about the whole winning and losing. It's like, yeah, we had a lot of fun. We were progressing. We got better. We did this. We did that. Oh, better when we're winning. So it's just an interesting little takeaway there. I think that if if I'm reading it, it sounds like a guy that's like, well, if you really go make some moves and you're going to legit be a playoff team, yeah, I want to be here and I want to be the starter. But I don't want to be coming off the bench, and I don't want to be playing for a losing team.
Yeah, he does. Right? It's definitely hedging the answers a bit. And here I am talking about how honest and sincere Chauncey sounded. That was very much not the same kind of vibe there.
Right? And so we'll see where that goes. And the bad part is that Chauncey likes him. He plays him a lot and all that. But I also think when the injuries happen and you moved some guys around, you get a little bit of a Wally Pipp situation. You familiar with Wally Pipp?
I think I've heard you make this comparison before.
That's right. Wally Pipp. Starting first baseman, right? He goes down. Lou Gehrig takes over. The rest is history.
Gotcha. Yep,
right?
There it is.
The rest is history. Lou Gehrig becomes one of the greatest to ever play the game of baseball, right? So the injuries happen. You end up putting Denny, who was out of the starting lineup, in the starting lineup. You put him in. You solidified him at the 4. You solidify 2 at the 3, and they both kind of grab that spot and aren't going to let go, right? So that leaves Jeremy in an interesting spot, but wherever they go, like I said, yeah, can you bring players in? Can you continue to build the roster? Like Kirk says in the YouTube chat, he's like, DA is only marginally better than Donovan Clingan in certain spots, and I'd keep this guy. Well, you're gonna have to keep, like, I would trade him. Now you're gonna have to keep some of those guys at some point because you can't trade Ant out to bring 2 guys in who match his contract, and then trade Grant out and bring in 2 guys and then do that to DA too. Next thing you know, you sold 3, you brought in 7, you're at 21 guys, and you have to find 6 guys to cut. You know what I'm saying?
It's a lot of math, yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Plus you got to hit salary floors. There's so much in this as to why Joe Cronin and every other general manager in the league makes a lot more money than I do, right? Because there is some numbers there that I can't even begin to crunch.
Well, and it's like you said too. We've talked for many years before this about with Simons. It's not so easy to just ask him to come off the bench. Even if we like Scoot and we like Shane what they're doing, if they haven't fully supplanted him,
right,
you can't just tell him, hey, be happy off the bench.
Unless there's a clear vision.
Doesn't work any better here.
Like I said, if you get rare guys, in this league, like a Manu Ginobili who's coming off the bench in his prime, but he understands that's because I make the team better by coming off the bench.
And he
right?
probably sees the guys around him, too.
I give them a spark, and I'm the 6th man and all that stuff. But all I know is, Grant sounded like a guy who would be open to returning under the right circumstances.
Yeah, exactly.
Not just a big want to be here. Unlike Denny Avdia, right, who tweeted out this morning, I love Portland. That was it. That's the tweet, right?
That was cool.
Like, you're right. And so those things matter, man. And that continuity, that relationship, the chemistry those guys are getting, man. And then, again, you build your roster out, see how things are gonna go. So, all right, let's take a quick little break. Break a little early here. That way we have a little bit of a longer final segment. Final segment, I'm going to ask you about those young guys, okay? I don't really care about Ant, Grant, and DA because we know those guys. They're all good, okay? Let's just get that out of the way.
Let's talk about those pint glass players.
Like DeAndre Ayton is a good basketball player. He is better than Donovan Clingan is right now. Okay, Jeremy Grant is a really good basketball player, and I think on a playoff team, as the 4th, 5th guy, he's gonna be money. And we all know how much you love Anthony Simons.
Penny.
Ant's pretty darn good. I want to talk about the young guys and get their grades. Did they pass? Did they excel? Did they go above where you thought? All right, I'm going to ask you about that. Chew on that. I'll ask you about when we return here on Courtside Monday on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. Welcome back into Courtside Monday. Joined now by my friend Keith Feltner-Smith, and I'm going to put a bet on the table.
Oh,
And that's my bet is that I'll probably have you on as a guest on this show again before you decide to record a podcast. Did you listen to my guest? Did you listen to my guest spot on the We Have a Take?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I
Absolutely.
called you out on there too.
I know. No, I hear all the. Hey, listen. Some of us listen to the other one's content and media, despite it.
I
you
do
know,
too. I listen to
You-
Tara and Rose. They're wonderful.
You famously did not listen to our podcast.
I don't
was
need to
the-
listen to ours. I sat in the recording session. Okay, I don't listen back to Courtside Monday. Now, if my boss listens to it and says, "Hey, fix this," I do it. Full disclosure, too. Like a lot of people, I hate the sound of my own voice. I cringe. And I also, okay, this is me. I'm admitting my faults now. So if Chauncey can do it, I can do it. I am always, I cringe because I'll listen back to myself and I'm like, oh my God, why did you say it like that? Like, why did you use that phrasing, or why did you pause that long, or why did you make up that word like George Bush would? Like you like, is bifurcate a thing, or did I make it up? Like, yeah. I just like the way the Blazers playificate. Like,
Play.
like,
Oh,
you know,
see, we got to use that one now.
the
too.
point is, I just don't like listening myself.
I can understand it, and hey, make all the more reason you should listen to the pod next time we record, because you will see what a beautiful job I do with your beautiful dulcet tones. You got to give
That's
you some more
all right,
credit as
yeah.
far as how you talk.
he
Fool
gets
me once.
auto-tune, right? Yeah, right. Thank you,
Fool
Brendan.
me once.
Brendan gets it.
Oh, yeah, one of the best clips ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Boom goes the dynamite. Now, great time. We're starting with the young guys.
Okay.
Scoot Henderson. You're grading him. It's not midterms. It's a final. What's your grade on Scoot this
We're
year?
talking this season.
Just what's
Se-
your
year
Scoot?
two.
Your grade on Scoot this year?
I'm giving Scoot a B, a solid B. He's gone above average. He's not blowing the lid off things. He's not absolutely exceeding expectations, but he is beyond what I think the average expectation probably was. He's
Okay.
exceeded a solid B.
I think a B is fair. Very, very fair. If he the way he started the year, C minus. I think the way he ended the year, he had some A's in there. So B,
Boy,
good grade.
if we didn't have a concussion here at the end, man, I would have loved to see the minutes he could have had with
Yeah.
Shaden and Denny the way they were playing. It could have been really
Yeah,
nice.
absolutely.
Could have bumped
It
up to
could've
an
been.
A.
And yeah, and maybe it just was a little slower than normal, or than you would have liked. But I do like the progression we've seen from him. All right, Shea, grade on Shea.
Shaden, I was nervous about to start the year. Same as you're saying with Scoot, he kind of started off rough for me, and I think I was really wanting to see kind of the motivation. Then all the defensive stuff came in with Chauncey. I think I was more impressed by what I saw from Scoot, so I'm going to give Shea a B minus. Not too much worse. I was still happy, and I think it was above average, though, especially the way it finished out. Recency bias is a thing, but yeah, I was nervous for him. I would have loved to see him go higher.
Okay.
Shaden's one. He's one of those of the 5 core guys for the future. Like we're talking about these young guys. He's the one that I'm maybe most nervous about. I know it's not everybody's
It
opinion.
is. I think I agree with you because I've said it multiple times. I think he is. If we talked about what Chauncey said about how he pointed out all those other teams that built from within, I think that Shea has the most potential to impact the team's ceiling.
Yes, exactly that. Yeah, he has the most room still to grow, most room to
Yeah.
impress us. But I wanted him to be closer and more. Again, we mentioned arc and pacing earlier. I wanted him at a more accelerated pace, reaching towards that ceiling than he is right now.
Absolutely. All right, now we're just going to go down what our potential future starting lineup could be. So now we got this one's an easy one. Tumani Kamara.
A, easy A. Not even having to think about it, man. A as in the first letter, and should be first team as far as I'm concerned with all the defensive campaign. I love what we've seen from Tumani, the absolute steal of the Tumani Kamara trade that went down a couple seasons ago. He's absolutely the centerpiece.
Yes, I agree. And I've said it multiple times. I'm going to say it again. It never gets tired. He's the most fun I've had watching a player play defense since Wesley
Oh my
Matthews
God.
was here.
Yes.
So
yes,
darn
completely.
good. Gets better. What excites me about him is that he said last year he didn't want to be an offensive liability. He wanted to improve offensively. And boy, howdy.
He looks
Did
great.
he improve. So if he would have played like last year, probably would have still given him an A. He was way better than he had any right to be. So good. Love him. Next. No, what you got?
I was going to say, I don't even know if this is partly due to Denny. Like, if maybe Tumani could have gotten a little bit more offensively and reached towards that A-plus range if he hadn't had someone else in front of him. But he's not ready for that number one option. I just sure love what we've seen from him, though. Solid A.
All right. Denny.
Speaking of.
What do you got?
Denny blew me away. Absolutely blew me. It's an A+.
Okay.
I think, again, I'm not concerned with him like I am with Shaden. I'm concerned with the down-the-line timeline just because he's in a different contract situation than the rest of our guys. But if he's our number one right now, if he's the number one option on our team as this team is growing, you're going to pay your number one more. So the contract thing doesn't bother me. He has absolutely blown my Rip City socks off my feet when I'm watching games of him at home.
Perfect.
It's been fantastic.
Shout out to Kirk. I just looked in the chat. Kirk's grading too. It looks like we get a B- for Scoot, a B+ for Shea, A- and then A+ so far. So he's kind of in lockstep with us.
Kurt, yeah.
Donovan Clingan.
Oh, my boy. I'm wearing the DC jersey all day yesterday on the final day of the season, celebrating with all of our community and the friends. Donovan, I want to reach as far for it. I'm coming back down to earth a little as we kind of average things out. I want to see more offense. The defense has been fantastic. I'm going A-. It should be a B+. I want to say A-. It should be a B+. If I felt more confident with him as a starter, it's reaching up towards that A.
Okay.
But he's not there yet. Fully on a great curve, though. I love where he's going. I absolutely love the defense. I'm not worried about the offense. Certainly not worried about a three-point shot. Just keep doing what he's doing, and please don't stop with the blocks. It's incredible.
I'm going to go with a B, a solid B. Kirk, same thing. B. Says people underestimate his defense, and I think his defense was clutch this year. And I think it was the side that was already good. I also think it's the side that improved the most.
Yeah.
By the end of the year, he was doing a pretty good job getting in front of people. Still gets beat when he goes out beyond the arc, but man, he had some beautiful block shots. He's a huge body in the paint, rebounds like crazy. The offense at this point, though, is like an F. Like there's a lot of work on that side.
The offense drags it down a lot.
But I got to give him credit because one of his biggest bugaboos early on was like he'd get a rebound and he'd bring it down and then steal.
Get swatted.
Guess what? He started to do. I'm gonna leave it up. And then he got fouled. But there was a play in that Laker game where he got the rebound and then just one step and jumped
Straight
up for the jam. And
Quick
it's like,
hop.
do that every time, and we're cooking with gas.
Not just that, but like he's done a much better job as far as I won't carry on. The defense looks fantastic. The offense is dragging it down. I am so high on Donovan Clingan, though.
He gave everyone passing grades, though. That's all that matters.
Yes.
That's all that matters. Once again, this is my man, Keith Feltner-Smith. You can go join the Trailcasters Discord. Link is in his Blue Sky bio.
Please do.
Join the conversation there. A bunch of like-minded Blazer fans who just get crazy.
The pod will be back.
Yeah, we'll be back next Monday. Hopefully going to try to keep this thing going all summer long. It's been fun. Obviously, thanks to everyone out there who listens and joins in because this was my first maiden voyage. There you go. First maiden voyage. Just my maiden voyage on game day in fifth quarter. It was awesome. And I'm always here on Courtside. You guys know where to find me. And as always, there's only one way to end it. Until next time, Rip City, I love you.